Hello, I'm Danny Potts. I'm a neurologist who enjoys writing poetry. I want to share one with you that I wrote about 11 years ago. It was written from a place of great depth. And more so than any other poem I think I've written, it sort of wrote itself and then it sort of read itself to me after it was written. I'm kind of like a person who is in the airport and picks up a book to read on the journey and realizes after a few pages into the book that he's actually reading a story about himself that was written by his subconscious under an assumed name. That's kind of how this poem affected me. So I want to read it for you. It's called The Little Boy. An old man of the mountains traveled into town one day to find a little boy he'd known, but lost along the way. The lines of rugged living lay like furrows on his face as tears plowed through those dusty rows to clear a way for grace. Some say it was poor choices. Some say disease or fate that sent him up that stony road and shut away the gate. Perhaps for sanctuary the elder sought repose beneath a verdant canopy where mountain laurel grows, where from the spirit of an ancient spring-fed sparkling stream his soul could draw its sustenance and heaven could be his dream. Though weary from the wayward ways embarked upon in youth, a wisdom gained in wandering had etched his stone with truth. But broken years still left for him a longing so profound to muster all remaining will and walk familiar ground. So, with his only trapping, an old heart that longed for home, and bygone days of innocence burned by desire to roam, he limped along toward the gate he'd fastened long ago to wall away his brokenness, so none would ever know. That day he walked on holy ground, a churchyard near a grave, a grassy spot beneath an oak that progress chose to save, the playground where daydreaming he had whiled away his time, the schoolyard where a snow-capped dame had taught his lines to rhyme, the lot upon which stood the timbers of his childhood home, a mansion in his fantasy with ivy overgrown, his double secret hideaway, a fort for all the boys who'd bravely fought marauding bands and shared in manly joys. And as the sun sank down behind his purple mountain wall, he passed the spot where love's first kiss had bade its beckon call. Right there amidst the shadows of the lives he'd loved before, an old man thought he heard again from just beyond the door the voice of Mama calling home a little boy he knew, for supper and serenity, for warmth and welcome too. Then, mourning something of himself while passing by a grave, he clasped the tiny hand of one he'd left those hills to save. Together there, old man and boy, in unity made whole, began the upward trek to where a mountain meets a soul. And after lifting up the latch that locked away the gate, the carefree boy left it ajar as time was ticking late. Each ray of sinking sunset left its hue upon that place. Each dusty tear upon the cheek had cleared away for grace. The old man and his little boy, the broken and the blessed, within God's everlasting arms, came peacefully to rest.